Exposed. How one millionaire's heartwarming act for a little girl's brother led to an incredible transformation. Clara's world was painted in colors of hope and joy, but there was a storm brewing in her heart. Her older brother, Danny, was the brightest star in her sky, battling a rare illness that had left their tight-knit family in disarray. Their small home felt like a fortress against the outside world, a world that didn't seem to understand the weight of their struggle. Their single mother worked long shifts as a nurse, pouring herself into her patients while her own heart ached for her son. Clara watched her mother juggle bills and medical costs, her exhaustion evident, yet the fire of love never dimmed. Clara sat on the creaky porch steps as twilight fell, her small fingers clutching a tattered notebook filled with dreams of a better future. She doodled fierce dragons and daring astronauts, each image a reminder of the strength she longed to harness. There was magic in her innocence, an unwavering belief that love could conquer even the hardest battles. "Mom, what if we had a superhero?" she blurted, her eyes sparkling with unyielding hope. A real one. Then, the day of the fundraiser came, bringing people together in a bid to lift spirits and gather support for families like hers. The scent of barbecue mingled with laughter, but Clara felt the underlying tension. Thomas Sullivan, local millionaire and entrepreneur, strolled in like he owned the skies. He was tall, with a confident smile that shone brighter than the sun. Yet whispers of skepticism drifted through the crowd. "What does he know about us?" they muttered, casting suspicious glances. Clara's heart raced. Could he be the superhero she needed, or just another ghost of their struggles? Standing at the front, she spoke about Danny, her voice shaky yet strong. "He brave, he needs help." In that moment, beneath the fabric of doubt, she saw a flicker of recognition in Thomas' eyes. A nice guy trapped inside a golden cage. But would he really help? The silence pulsed with tension as her pleas lingered in the air. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days rolled by, and Tom's decision to help Danny clashed with the community's skepticism. It felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on Clara. She saw Tom getting backlash, yet he didn't back down. He met with everyone, trying to forge connections. There was a hint of hope, a flicker in the dark. But could he really bring change? On a random afternoon at the park, something shifted. Tom crossed paths with a war veteran who shared his story, a testament to survival against the odds. The man's voice echoed through Tom, igniting a new sense of determination in him. "Every battle counts," he said, and Tom felt the walls of misunderstanding start to crack. And then came the community event. Clara's heart raced like wild horses in a field. People were watching. They were judging Tom, watching to see if he'd falter. But just then, as doubts began to rise, an unexpected revelation unfolded, something that tied their lives together far deeper than anyone had anticipated. Clara held her breath, feeling that this moment could change everything. Would hope rise from the ashes of skepticism, or would everything come crashing down? Clara's heart drummed in her chest, a wild mix of excitement and anxiety. Tom stood at the podium, the light catching his features, casting long shadows on the crowd. He took a deep breath, absorbing the weight of Clara's words, the emotion that filled the air. "I know I'm not from your world," he began, his voice steady, a beacon of sincerity cutting through the murmurs of doubt. "But I want to help Danny, to help all of you." The silence was heavy, each person holding their breath, waiting for any sign of insincerity. Clara could see the flicker of disbelief in the eyes around her. The whispering began again. "He's just playing a part, he'll never understand." But Clara refused to let that negativity sink her spirit. She believed in Tom. She had to. In that moment, she felt an uncommon surge of bravery that abruptly shifted the focus. She stepped forward, her little legs carrying her closer to the front, right beside Tom. "Mr. Sullivan," she shouted, her voice ringing clear. "Can you tell us your story?" A soft murmur swept through the crowd. Clara knew that if she could open Tom up, the chiseled walls built around him might just crack. Tom looked down at Clara, a spark of understanding passing between them. He nodded, the corners of his mouth lifting just enough to assure her, and began. "I grew up in a place not too different from here," he said, his eyes sweeping the audience, connecting with each person who dared to look up. "Money was tight. I lost my father to illness just like many of you have. We struggled. But I learned that we're strongest when we help each other. That understanding pushed me to work hard, to build something worthwhile." The atmosphere shifted. Clara could sense the change, the tension slowly dissipating as Tom shared more about his childhood, his early mornings sweeping floors at his mother's diner. The way each dollar earned was a step toward a greater dream. "I made mistakes along the way," he confessed, his voice low, "but each one taught me the value of kindness. And I want to offer that now, especially to Danny." Clara's heart fluttered, a wave of hope washing over her. Was this man turning skepticism into faith? The crowd began to lean in, curiosity replacing doubt. Faces softened, and Clara could see moments of reflection start to bloom. A family in the back wiped tears of remembrance, and she felt the weight begin to lift from their community. The fundraiser continued with renewed enthusiasm. There were raffle tickets sold, laughter blooming aloud as Clara, alongside Tom, began to circulate. She could see him engaging with everyone, asking questions, really listening, his sincerity transforming them one by one. But then Clara noticed a woman in the corner, standing aloof, arms crossed tightly like a shield. Her gaze was sharp, filled with defiance, as if she was there only to challenge Tom. Clara swallowed hard. She could feel the tension creep back. Did the battle for trust have to rage on? As the night unfolded, Clara's face beamed with excitement, her brother's name beginning to receive chants and cheers. Yet worry clawed at her heart. What would it take for everyone to truly believe? What if Tom made a mistake, or worse, what if they rejected him again? Could he really change everything for Danny and for them? Just as Clara gripped her notebook tighter, her heart thudding louder, she realized a storm was still brewing, and it was far from over. She had to protect the hope they had ignited, but what would happen when the truth came crashing for them all? In that moment of uncertainty, Clara knew one thing. A big revelation was lurking just ahead, a game-changer that could redefine their journey together. Would it unite them, or tear them apart? The crowd buzzed with excitement as Tom finished his story, the warmth of understanding melting the chill of doubt that had settled in just moments before. Clara watched as faces transformed. A reluctant smile crept onto the lips of the woman with crossed arms, a flicker of curiosity in her hardened eyes. It wasn't complete acceptance, but it was a step in the right direction. As the night wore on, Clara bounced from table to table, reveling in the sudden vibrancy around her. People exchanged stories and laughter, sharing memories of lost loved ones, and a few even spoke of hope for the future. Tom kept his presence felt, engaging in heartfelt discussions, hearing the dreams of the community. Clara's spirits lifted with every connection he forged. Yet the woman still lingered, her brow furrowed like a stormy sky. She had not moved. Clara felt drawn to her as if some invisible thread tied them. What lay behind that guarded posture? Was it a fear of vulnerability? A concern for Danny? A reluctance to let anyone new in? "Excuse me, Mr. Sullivan," Clara called out, bubbling with courage. Can you ask her to share her story?" Tom turned, his face brightening at Clara's initiative. He nodded, stepping closer to the woman. "It's okay," he said softly. "We're here to listen." The woman hesitated, the shadows of her past clinging to her like a heavy coat. Then she sighed, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "I'm Emily," she said, voice low yet firm. "I lost my husband a year ago. He was everything to me and our children." She paused, glancing at the crowd, their faces showing genuine interest. "I just don't know if we can trust someone who has everything and understands nothing about our struggle." Her words hung in the air, a palpable tension filling the space between them. Clara's heart sank for half a beat, a familiar ache creeping in. She desperately wanted to reassure Emily that every struggle, every heartbreak, could unite them. Tom understands. Clara chimed in, her eyes shining. He worked hard for what he has. He wants to help because he knows it matters. Tom's gaze softened as he listened to Clara defend him. Emily, he said gently, I know that my journey is different, but it's not so unrelatable. I lost my father, too, and went through my share of struggles. I may have a different ending, but I still feel the same pain, the same longing for connection. The crowd held its breath again, hanging on every word. Emily's posture shifted slightly, a hint of the iron grip around her heart loosening. Perhaps there was a sliver of humility in Tom, a glimpse of common ground. I'm just scared, Emily admitted, her voice filling with vulnerability. I don't want to believe in another person and end up heartbroken again. Clara stepped forward, her tiny stature somehow amplifying the strength of her voice. But what if believing leads to something amazing? Like helping Danny? We can change the world if we just let each other in. The murmurs rippled through the crowd, hearts echoing Clara's hope. The tension melted further, replaced by a glimmer of shared sorrow and victory. Tom stepped closer to Emily, extending a hand, an offer of solidarity. And just like that, Clara's heart soared, sensing a shift within the atmosphere. Maybe they would break down walls yet. But in an electric turn, as Clara embraced the moment, a loud crash echoed from behind the stage. Something had fallen, something big and heavy. Clara jumped, her eyes widening in alarm. What had happened? That sudden jarring noise had everyone turning toward the disruption. Was this a sign of hope or chaos? Clara's pulse quickened as she stared at the chaotic scene unfolding, breath hitching. What else might they have to face to find trust and healing? Clara squinted into the dim light, her heart racing. Amid the chaos, people were pointing toward the back of the stage where a heavy wooden sign, meant for decoration, lay shattered on the floor. The once vibrant energy of the room flickered like a dying candle, replaced by uncertainty. Is everyone okay? Tom shouted, moving hurriedly toward the debris, concern etched across his face. The crowd's murmur shifted into anxious whispers, threads of fear weaving through their words. Clara felt a surge of panic. What if someone was injured? What if this broke the moment they'd just begun to create? Emily stood still, her eyes wide and filled with a sudden mixture of worry and resolve. Clara sensed that this moment represented something deeper, an unexpected test of strength. Not just for Tom but for everyone. The kids, Emily exclaimed, breaking from her hesitation. Danny and the others. They were playing back there. Clara's heart dropped. She sprang into action, darting past Tom and the fallen sign, urgency propelling her. Danny! She shouted, her voice barely rising above the crowd's growing alarm. Are you there? As Clara neared the back, she spotted a cluster of children huddled together, their faces painted with confusion. Relief washed over her when she saw Danny, his wide eyes darting between the fallen sign and his friends, who looked equally shaken. She knelt down, a mix of fear and determination lighting her voice. Hey, are you all right? Danny nodded slowly, but Clara noticed the tremor in his hands. We were playing and then that fell. His voice quivered, the fear of the accident settling deep in his tiny heart. Let us get you out of here. Okay? Clara urged gently, gathering the kids around her. They formed a small cluster, like dandelions bending in a stiff wind. Behind her, Clara sensed Emily approaching. She turned to see the woman now radiating a warmth that seemed to transform her guarded nature into something openly caring. Are you all right? Emily asked Danny, crouching to his level. His nod was tentative, a whisper of relief flickering. I didn't know what was happening. You're safe now, Emily assured, her voice steady and soothing. We're all here together, and that's what matters. Tom joined them, brushing dust from his shirt as he stood up. Clara, let us make sure the backstage is secure. We can't let anything else fall. The crowd slowly shifted from shock to a soft buzz of concern, ready to help. With each calming word from Emily, Clara felt hope pushing through the panic. They were coming together not just for Danny, but for each other. The lipstick-red energy of fear was giving way to bold strokes of unity. Clara caught Emily's gaze, and for a brief moment, the woman smiled, a flicker of understanding glimmering between them. "What's next?" Clara asked, her voice imbued with determination. "We've already done so much. Let us not let this stop us." Emily straightened, meeting Clara's eyes with newfound confidence. "You're right. If we can face this together, we can face anything." A sense of unity began to ripple through the room. The crowd buzzed with renewed energy, voices rising again, their shared resolve weaving them closer. But just then, from the corner of the room, Clara noticed a shadow shift. It was someone, a figure lingering just outside the dim light. Who were they? What did they want? Clara's heart raced again, uncertain of this new storm lurking on the horizon. What could this stranger mean for their fragile beginnings? Clara's gaze narrowed, focusing on the shadowy figure that seemed to blend with the darkness. Was it a friend or a foe? The air felt thick, heavy with unspoken words and anxious anticipation. She took a step toward the stranger, her curiosity tinged with a hint of dread. "Hey, are you all right?" Clara called out, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty in her chest. The crowd's energy was slowly building again, yet this figure remained isolated, a stark contrast to the gathering warmth. The figure stepped forward into the dim light, revealing a man, tall and unkempt, his clothes faded and wrinkled. Despite the messiness of his appearance, there was an anxious intensity in his eyes that sent Clara's heart thudding against her ribcage. "I didn't mean to intrude," he said, his voice gravelly but sincere. I saw the chaos and thought someone might need help." Tom, sensing Clara's apprehension, crossed his arms and took a protective stance. "Who are you?" he asked, frowning. "I'm just a guy who likes to help," the stranger replied, glancing nervously at the group of children huddled behind Clara. "I heard the noise and wondered if the kids were okay." Clara felt the tension in the air might transform into fear or trust. "We're fine now, but thank you for checking." Is there something we can do for you?" The man hesitated, his eyes darting to the kids before settling back on Clara. I just lost my job," he admitted, shame filling his voice. "Been struggling for a while. Tonight, I wanted to find some kindness to hang on to." The words hung in the air, touching a deep chord within Clara. The world seemed a little darker for everyone these days. Every little struggle weighed heavily on the community. An overwhelming wave of empathy washed over her. "Just chasing kindness, huh?" she murmured, a faint smile starting to form. "That's not a bad pursuit." Emily stepped forward, her spirit ignited. "You've come to the right place. We've all had our struggles tonight, but it's how we rise and support each other that truly matters." The man's shoulders relaxed slightly, hope flickering in his expression. It's a powerful thing to realize you're not alone, even during the darkest times. Clara could feel the shift in the atmosphere, an invisible thread weaving the community closer together. Behind her, Danny tugged at her shirt, his childlike curiosity intact. "Is he going to help us, Clara? Can he?" The man knelt beside Danny, meeting his gaze with sincerity. "I'd be honored to help. I may not have much, but I have two hands and a willingness to pitch in if that's okay with all of you." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. The initial fear was dissolving, replaced by an unexpected camaraderie. Clara caught Emily's eye. They both felt the electric connection bridging over them. "Let's do this together," Clara said with renewed spirit. "Let us clean up and then we can think about what's next. We all need a fresh start." No one moved at first, but then Tom turned to the crowd, his voice loud and confident. "All right, everyone, if you can lend a hand, let's South make this place shine again." With that, the heaviness in the room began lifting. People scattered across the space, each person transforming the chaos into purpose. As Clara began clearing debris, she felt an unexpected joy rising. Yet as she looked over her shoulder, the stranger caught her eye one more time, something flickering behind his mask of uncertainty. What stories lay hidden behind those eyes? What futures were still unwritten? Clara felt a shift inside her. One moment could indeed turn everything upside down. And in that moment of collective effort and newfound resolve, she wondered, could the stranger be the one to propel them all into a brighter tomorrow? As the debris was cleared away, a kind of magic began to weave itself through the crowd. Clara felt the energy shift, each member of the community moving together, their intentions aligning like the stars in a vast sky. Laughter mingled with the sounds of scrubbing and sweeping, transforming what had begun as chaos into a chorus of shared purpose. "Hey, can you grab that pile over there?" Tom called out to a few teenagers nearby. They nodded, some pausing to smile, energized by Tom's enthusiasm. Clara admired how his earlier frown had morphed into a determined grin. It was as if he had found a renewed sense of belonging in this effort. Her eyes moved back to the man, the stranger who had come to help. He was knelt beside Emily, the pair sorting through the flotsam of what was once the festival. Clara caught a glimpse of old photographs, some broken decorations, and a few colorful flags that had once danced in the wind. Ignoring her instinct to give him space, she stepped closer, curiosity winning over caution. "Do you have a name?" Clara asked, brushing some dirt off her hands, her voice light. "Jake," he said with a soft smile, as if he'd almost forgotten what it felt like. "Jake Johnson. Nice to meet you, Jake. We really appreciate you being here." Clara noticed how he braced himself, like he was preparing for a fall, but his eyes softened. "You too." I was lost," Jake admitted, his voice dropping to a whisper, barely audible over the sounds of the crowd. "I lost so much, and to see everyone come together like this, it gives me hope." Hope. The word hung in the air, vibrant and full of potential. Clara felt it resonating deep within her. "Together we can build something new," Emily chimed in, throwing a crumpled flyer into the bin and straightening to look at Jake. "Hope is a powerful thing, I senti it. It's amazing how a few hands can change everything." The three of them stood there momentarily, surrounded by laughter and enthusiasm. Clara watched Danny and a couple of his friends creating a makeshift game with some old cans, their giggles echoing like music. "Hey, Jake," Tom shouted from the other side. "You want to help us with these kids for a bit? They could use some adult supervision." Jake's brows furrowed, uncertainty creeping back in, but Clara felt something shift in him. Sure," he finally replied, a hint of nervousness in his voice. Clara watched as Jake walked toward the kids. His tentative steps gave way to laughter as a group of them eagerly clamored for his attention. As he knelt down, it was as if a switch flicked on inside him. The more he interacted, the more the shadows seemed to evaporate from his eyes. The sun peeked through the clouds, bathing the scene in a warm glow. It felt almost surreal, like everything was infused with renewed life. And yet, Clara's stomach twisted with an unease she couldn't quite label. "Clara, look," Danny squeaked, pointing excitedly as Jake joined in their game. Clara smiled at the joy unfolding before her, yet her heart fluttered with the nagging anxiety of what might happen next. Could someone who had just lost so much really find solace in this community? Was it naive to believe that a few moments of connection could shift Jake's entire trajectory? Just then, she caught sight of a nearby flyer still flapping in the breeze. It was a reminder of the festival's purpose to bring people together, to create memories, but also to celebrate resilience. Clara clenched her jaw slightly. What if we're all just one moment away from a breakthrough? She whispered to herself, the question lingering like a ghost in her mind. But before she could ponder further, Jake's laughter rang out again, infectious and genuine, wrapping everyone in warmth. Clara smiled. Maybe this was the moment that could change everything. But as she looked to the horizon, unease crept back in. Could tomorrow bring back shadows that they were not yet ready to face? The vibrant hum of the crowd buzzed in Clara's ears as she pulled her thoughts from the horizon. She shook her head, trying to dismiss the cloud of doubt. Instead, she focused on Jake, who had fully immersed himself in play with the children. His laughter was like a beacon, drawing more kids into their little game, and Clara couldn't help but feel a swell of gratitude. He was providing them with joy, while unknowingly healing something deep within himself. A few kids had fashioned a makeshift goal out of old crates, and now Jake was attempting to kick a ball made of rags into it. He stumbled a bit, making the children roar with laughter. It was a beautiful, infectious sound. Clara found herself smiling wider than she thought possible, caught in this moment of simple happiness. Suddenly, Danny raced up to Clara, his eyes wide with excitement. "Can we keep him? Jake can be our new team captain," he exclaimed, bouncing on his toes as if the idea was the most brilliant thing in the universe. "Let us not get ahead of ourselves, buddy," Clara replied, her heart warming at Danny's enthusiasm. "But he's sure doing a great job." As they watched, Clara noticed something in Jake's demeanor. He was more like the man in the festival photographs, a man filled with life. Just a little while ago, he seemed burdened by a storm of loss. Now he was alive and present, one with these kids. But the nagging worry returned, tugging at her heartstrings. Could this moment last? Were they in for a reality check when the truth of their struggles set in? Clara steeled herself. Whether or not Jake's healing was temporary, it was still worth celebrating. "Come on, Clara. Join us," Danny shouted, tugging at her arm, pulling her into the circle. With a grin, Clara joined in. The weight on her shoulders lightened with each laugh shared and every cheer erupting from the group. There was magic here, a spark that was about more than just this moment. It was a glimpse of community resilience in action. Yet, every beat of laughter and shout of joy was tinged with the question of what lay ahead. Suddenly, Emily rushed over, her cheeks flushed with exhilaration. "You won't believe who just showed up," she exclaimed, her eyes shining. Clara followed Emily's gaze, squinting against the sunlight. Across the way, a group of familiar faces emerged from the crowd, members of a local organization known for fostering community support, the very ones who had helped Clara during her own struggles. The very sight of them sparked warmth in her heart, but it also reignited that unease. Were they here to help, or to evaluate what progress had been made? "Hey everyone, we're here to lend a hand," one of them called out, a charismatic woman with a clipboard. "We want to see how we can support you all moving forward." "How's the cleanup going?" Clara's heart raced. The validation she had always sought now stood before her, a mixed blessing. Would they appreciate the progress they had made together, or would they see the untidy bits that still required work? Suddenly, Jake stood up, holding the makeshift ball, a grin stretching across his face. "We've been busy," he announced, his charisma effortless. "And look, we're a team." Clara held her breath as eyes turned toward Jake. The moment felt pivotal, like a single leaf fluttering on a gusty day, deciding whether to cling to its branch or take flight. But just as the energy shifted, a loud crack echoed across the park, a sudden pop that shattered the bubble of joy like glass. Clara's heart dropped into her stomach. What now? She thought, a sinking feeling enveloping her. Jake's face froze, the excitement washed away by confusion. Around them, laughter dwindled as apprehension filled the air. The fragile sense of bliss seemed to teeter on the edge. What if this isn't just our moment? Clara whispered to herself, each heartbeat ticking away. What was lurking in the shadows, waiting to unravel everything they had just begun to build? The crack echoed like gunfire, piercing through the joyous chatter and laughter like a knife. The faces of children, once bright and full of delight, now morphed into masks of uncertainty. The atmosphere shifted, a thick fog of anxiety draping over the park. Clara's heart raced as she scanned the area, seeking the source of the disturbance. Was it a firecracker? A backfiring car? But when she glanced quickly toward Jake, he stood frozen, the makeshift ball clutched tightly in his hands, confusion etched on his face. A few kids huddled closer, seeking solace in the comfort of their shared bewilderment. The charismatic woman from the organization, still clutching her clipboard, took a step forward, her expression faltering. "Everyone, stay calm," she called out, trying to regain control of the atmosphere. But her voice was lost in the mounting tension. "Is it going to be okay?" Danny whimpered, grasping Clara's arm tighter. She felt his little fingers shaking, like leaves caught in an unexpected storm. Her heart twisted. "Of course, it is, buddy," she said, even as doubt gnawed at her insides. "Just a little noise. There's nothing to worry about." But as she spoke, A shadow of uncertainty crept in. They had worked so hard to build this moment, to escape the weight of their scars. What if that moment was slipping away? Jake finally snapped back to reality. He looked around, his brows furrowing in thought. Maybe we should check it out? His enthusiasm tugged Clara back momentarily, but the tension coiled tight in her chest remained. Good idea. Let us see what happened. Emily chimed in, her voice steadying the group. The kids seemed to rally behind their favorite adult, and Clara realized that Jake's ability to bring them together went beyond the football game. It was about more than just fun. It was about trust and bravery in the face of uncertainty. As they began to make their way toward the sound, Clara found herself next to Jake. He caught her eye, and in that fleeting moment, something passed between them, an understanding that beneath their laughter and smiles lay an unspoken willingness to face fear together. Whatever it is, we'll handle it, Jake said quietly, as if sensing her worry. His voice had a calming quality, firm in its resolve. It pulled her back into the present, reminding her that they had a community to protect. Moving closer, they spotted a small group clustered near the benches. One of the older boys had dropped a firework that malfunctioned, smoke billowing from the remnants. Clara felt the immediate rise of a collective sigh, tension easing slightly as the initial shock began to fade. Hey, everyone, it's just a little bit of smoke. Jake stepped forward, his previous energy returning. It's not so bad, right? Just a little mischief. Laughter rang out as the children began to disperse, reassured and curious. The fragile peace returned, but Clara felt a flicker of unease. Why hadn't she felt so completely confident in the resolution? There was still a shaky undercurrent whispering doubts in her mind about the future. As Jake leaned in, gathering the children for another round of play, Clara's heart warmed but remained guarded. There was something stirring in her mind that wouldn't settle, a butterfly launching into the air without a destination. Even as the games resumed, that nagging feeling grew sharper. What if, despite their best efforts, the calm was merely a prelude to something darker on the horizon? Had they really overcome their struggles, or merely disguised them? An illusion of joy. She watched Danny running toward Jake, looking completely unaware of the moments that had just unfolded. His laughter was bright and pure, but Clara hoped he wouldn't have to face this world's realities too soon. As they all settled back into their activities, Clara gazed out across the park, feeling a weight settle over her heart once again. Would they be able to protect the joy they had found? Or was the darkness quietly waiting to reclaim its hold? And what if it meant confronting things they were not yet ready to face? Whatever it is, we'll handle it, she echoed silently, full of conviction, but still unsure. What awaited them just beyond this fragile reality? Clara stood there, watching Jake rally the kids, feeling the bittersweet sting of apprehension clawing at her heart. Danny laughed with innocence, his eyes sparkling as he chased after the bouncing ball. But in that laughter, Clara sensed a thread of something deeper, a desire to shield him from the shadows that flickered just out of sight. Without warning, a distant shout shattered the moment, a voice laden with urgency. Clara's breath hitched. What now? She murmured, glancing around for Jake's reaction. He turned, his playful demeanor shifting into something more serious. Stay here, he instructed the kids, while Clara's instincts screamed at her to move, to join him, to understand. She didn't like being left behind. They were fighters, weren't they? She held Danny's small hand, just for a moment longer, reassuring herself of his presence. I'll be right back, she promised, though the hesitance in her voice unsettled even her. As Jake approached where the shout had come from, Clara let her eyes follow him. She felt the group's gaze shift from fun and games to worry. A commotion at the edge of the park had drawn attention. Adults were gathered, some with phones pointed toward the ruckus. Clara edged forward, Danny still at her side, not quite comprehending that the atmosphere had turned again, that the fun was unraveling. What's going on? Clara asked an older lady nearby, her vibrant pink sweater a stark contrast to the anxious expressions surrounding them. Is everyone okay? It's just a lost dog, the woman replied, but the way she bit her lips suggested that it was more than that. Clara's mind raced with images of lost things of hope that had slipped through fingers like sand. Jake's voice rose above the murmuring crowd. "It's been missing for hours." A dog, Clara thought, torn between relief and concern. "It's a golden retriever." The owner's distraught. She watched as a man with red, puffy eyes frantically searched through the thinning brush nearby, tearing apart the space where a playful dog had once bounded. A moment of vulnerability spread across the crowd as they caught the man's desperation. It pierced Clara in a way she was not prepared for. She thought of her own struggles, the friends they'd lost along the way, and the dreams that had escaped them. "I'll help," Jake said, stepping into the frame, suddenly a beacon of hope. "Anyone want to join me?" Clara felt a swell of pride. It was Jake's true spirit shining through the kind that drove him to stand up for others, even as darkness stirred in her heart. "Let us go," she shouted, surprising even herself. She squeezed Danny's hand tighter, and as they took off together with the other kids, a sense of camaraderie kindled in her chest. They wouldn't just find a dog. They'd show the world that laughter and community could weave threads of joy, even against the backdrop of uncertainty. The search ignited an enthusiasm that transformed the lingering fear into purpose. Clara's heart raced as they called out for the dog, their voices mixing together in hope. "Riley, come here, boy, we're here." Danny's laughter, bright as always, punctured the thick sadness around them. She joined in with the other adults, trying to keep the atmosphere light, to shield the children from the weight of what was happening. But soon the shadows crept back, whispering doubts. Was this just a temporary escape? Suddenly, a rustling sound caught her attention. Clara spun around, her heart pounding at the possibility. Was it the dog? Everyone quieted, anticipation hanging thick in the air. But what she didn't expect was for it to lead them not just to a lost dog but a truth that would shake their fragile peace to its core. As Clara stood ready, her heart raced in sync with the mounting anticipation of the crowd. The rustling intensified, a cacophony that crescendoed into chaos as a familiar golden figure emerged from the underbrush. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Riley, the missing dog. The crowd erupted with joy, cheers echoing in the air. Danny bounced on his toes, his laughter spilling out with unrestrained delight. But as Riley bounded toward his owner, tears welling in the man's eyes, Clara felt a peculiar sensation, a bittersweet mix of hope and fear. The moment was electric. Hope surged among the people, but Clara sensed an underlying thread of vulnerability waiting to unravel. Jake knelt down, arms wide, inviting Riley, Indiana. The golden retriever leaped into his embrace, releasing a cascade of energy that rippled through the crowd. "You found him!" the owner exclaimed, voice cracking with gratitude. The emotion washed over Clara, igniting the warmth within the community. Yet, somewhere deep inside her, unease churned like a storm. "Clara, look!" Danny squealed, eyes bright with the magic of the moment, pulling her back into the joy of celebration. They were all together facing struggles, losses, moments, each person woven into the transformative fabric of community. The energy surged, threads of connection brightening the canvas of their lives. Yet, the shadows remained. As Clara kneeled beside Danny, watching people crowd around Riley and the owner, the whispers in her mind grew stronger. Would the joy they felt today slip through their fingers, just like hope had done before? Would they have to confront the darkness again? Emily emerged from the crowd, her expression as glowing as Clara's felt inside. "We should celebrate this," she shouted, rallying the spirits even further. "Let us throw a real festival, one for all of us, together." The idea caught fire. Laughter and excitement mixed in the air, twinkling like stars. Yet still, Clara couldn't shake her concerns. She turned to Jake, who was petting Riley, soaking in the moment. "Do you think what if tomorrow brings sadness again? What if we start all over?" she asked gently, voice wavering with vulnerability. Jake paused, understanding etched across his features. "We carry our stories with us, Clara. They strengthen us. It's okay to feel scared, But it's what we choose to do with that fear that matters. Each moment is a chance to connect and to build something stronger, he replied. Clara felt a spark ignite in her heart. Something deep within her rose to meet his words of promise she could hold on to that moment. The shape of the future shifted. Let us do it. A festival for hope, Clara shouted, her voice cutting through the noise, giving life to the emotions swirling inside her. We all have something to celebrate, something to give. The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirit blooming like flowers after a long winter. Danny grabbed Clara's hand, pulling her into the festivities that swelled around them. Maybe today wasn't just a fleeting moment. Maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something transformative. As they scrambled and brainstormed, the community united in purpose, creating reflections of their hopes and dreams around a new festival. Clara saw people chatting, laughing, sharing stories, and embracing one another, building strength from vulnerability, a foundation of resilience forged from shared experiences. Even the looming shadows from moments past could not drown out the brightness bursting in Clara's heart. This is it. This is our chance. She felt bursts of joy and anticipation mingling together like colors in a vibrant painting. She had never believed that change could come so beautifully. Night began to descend, wrapping the park in a soft blanket of twilight. But instead of casting shadows, it illuminated hope, filled with the unmistakable promise of a brighter tomorrow. Each smile represented a battle fought and won. Each laughter, a testament to their resilience as Clara beamed at the people she now considered family. Tom, Jake, Emily, and Danny laughing beside her. She felt their combined strength pushing back the darkness. Hope could grow, even from the ashes of their struggles. They had each other. They could press forward together. Clara gripped Danny's hand tight, squeezing it affectionately. From now on, no more hiding, she said softly. Let us carry hope. Let us be each other's superheroes. They felt the shift in the atmosphere, the weight of the past falling away. They were alive. They were together. They were transforming the world around them as the first lanterns lit up the night, sending their soft glow into the stars. Clara knew one thing for sure. They were ready to face whatever came next. And so, she asked them all loudly as they gazed up at the sky, "Are you ready for this?" And the chorus rang out enthusiastically. Yes, it was a declaration. And as the joy rippled through the crowd, Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her, not of naivety, but of strength. She realized they had ignited something extraordinary. This was their story, filled with hope and resilience. Their journey began here, under the lights, where laughter met love and unity embraced their collective spirits. Now it was time for everyone to write the next chapter together. Clara smiled wider than ever. She was ready to see what transformations awaited them on the horizon. So hold onto your courage. Folks, a new story is on the rise. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow together. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.